Hi Yins, how are you doing today? It is Wednesday, September 22nd. Yeah, it's the 22nd already. Hope you're all doing well. I am filming actually in the morning. It is early here in the morning of the 22nd. I have a doctor's appointment this morning to make sure that my body's alive. I had to get blood work last week, so because if you've been with me long enough, you would know that I have hypothyroidism because I had half of my thyroid taken out years and years and years ago, and so every once in a while I have to get my blood checked to make sure that my medication is working properly, and so this is my regular words are escaping me today. This is my regular check-in to make sure that my body is still working and that I have blood that is that the chemistry in my blood is working, that is adequate. So I got all of my blood work done last week, all my lab work done last week, and so the doctor's going to review my lab work and make sure that everything is up to par and that my thyroid is functioning properly, and to review my medications and everything like that I'm on, and we'll go from there. So I thought I'd get on here and film because I didn't do it over the weekend because I was really into what I was stitching and I wanted to get a good chunk done before I filmed another video. So all of that to say, it's Wednesday and I haven't filmed since last Sunday, so I thought I'd pop on before my doctor's appointment and chat with y'all. Yins. So because it's early in the morning, the sun hasn't hit this side of the building yet, and because I'm filming at my computer these days, the lighting is kind of So I had my dining room chandelier on, whatever you want to call this light here, hanging from the ceiling in the dining room, and it kind of blows out the lighting, so I turned it off. So we probably have lighting. We're gonna make do and do with what we can. I have my morning coffee here in my Pittsburgh's cup. They didn't do too well on Sunday. I don't know what's going on this year. We're 50-50. This is my Starbucks Pittsburgh cup I got for Christmas a few years ago from my brother. Folgers coffee, classic roast, black. I like my coffee black. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into my plant update of the week. I have 2 plants to show you. This week is going to be all about alocasia. I have 1 plant that's doing exceptionally well. I have 1 plant doing not so hot. And the reason I thought I'd do that is to show you that just because I do my plants, I'm a really, I have a green thumb, doesn't mean that every plant does really well. I actually threw 1 plant away last night. Was it last night? 2 nights ago. 2 nights ago, I had a plant die on me, and so I threw it away. Or it looked like it was almost dead. So I decided to just get rid of it and toss it out. It was a succulent I bought back in May, actually with one of the plants that I'm going to show you today. And it was doing really well, and then all of a sudden in the last 5 days, it just rotted. And I don't know why. I wasn't overwatering it. And it just decided to say, hey, bye, see you later. And it just left. So I threw it away and I was like, okay, we're going to move on. And it had its due course. So just to say, hey, if you think you don't have a green thumb, you got to figure out the plants that are going to work for you. So first off is the plant that is doing really well for me. This is my Alocasia Bambino. This is the very first alocasia I had that I ever bought. I bought this at a local greenhouse. So here is this the Yep, this is the newest leaf that it has recently just put out. This is not the first leaf since I got this plant, but you can see where it started from back around June-ish. No, I got this plant maybe in March, April. So you can see where it started to where it is now. So this is an alocasia. This is a rainforest-like understory plant. So this grows on the ground in the rainforest or in under the canopy of the trees. Originally, when I first got this, I had no idea what I was doing, and I almost killed this plant. So once I figured out how to properly care for this plant, it has taken off. So I have this in a terracotta, a gray-brown terracotta pot, and you can see how the plant gets larger as it grows new shoots. So it grows from the center, and actually I have a new leaf coming in, but it is just barely starting to grow, so you're not going to be able to see it. But yeah, it's doing really, really well. I do have one leaf kind of on the out. Usually the leaves die off from the outside, but for some reason I'm starting to lose this leaf here before I lose these outer leaves. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but you can see that one's starting to brown a bit. Maybe some sunburn. I'm not 100% sure. So what happened was I moved my plants around on my shelf couple weeks ago, and I think the next plant I showed you got some sunburn, so I moved it again just to make sure to see what happens. But the next plant I'm going to show you is the one that's not doing so hot. I bought this in May when I went to visit my mom, and this is an alocasia black velvet. So this plant has never produced another leaf since I bought it. So actually it had one leaf die off, and then it has not done anything since I got it. So there you can see the difference in the type of alocasia. So it's supposed to have like even though it has like a velvety texture to the leaf, but right now my leaves are not doing so hot. I think they got sunburned, and I thought this was dying off in the center, but now it looks like it might be starting to produce a new shoot here. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on. There you go. Now you can see it. So I moved this away from the window, and I'm wondering if that's helping. But you can see how brown the leaves are on the tips. Again, I have it in the same type of pot. Terracotta. And the two different types of plants. This one can get just as large as the other one. It just hasn't been thriving for me. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Alocasia are my favorite types of plants right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the moment. So I really, really like my alocasias. I don't have the really expensive alocasias that there are out there. There's a few I'd like to get, but I'm not willing to spend the exorbitant amount of money out there that you can spend to get some of the really, really fancy ones at the moment. All right, let me put these away and we will get into some cross stitch. Okay. So I said we were going to do some cross stitch first. I do have one knitting update. So I went to Hobby Lobby on Friday after work, and while I was at Hobby Lobby, I did buy some yarn. I got the three different colors of the I love this cotton that I did the dishcloth set that I sold in my store the other last month, and so I'm working on some dishcloths to again put in my store. The autumn set, so I just recently finished one green. I think this is called Sage. This is Sage, and so last night I finished a sage dishcloth. So I just have to weave in that end there. And so I have one dishcloth done. So if you're looking for, if you missed out on the dishcloths that I had, the autumn colors, I will eventually have more in my Etsy store for sale. So there we go. One dishcloth down. Let's talk cross stitch. So while I was at Hobby Lobby, I did make a purchase I did buy everything on my actual computer tower. So I did buy the frame for the By the Bay needle art in my father's house. So this was a finish that I did in the last video. There we go. It's this is stitched on 32 count biscotti by Color and Cotton, 32 count biscotti linen, 2/2 using the called for DMC. And so I bought the frame. Frames were 50% off at Hobby Lobby over the weekend, so I went ahead and bought the frame for the because I need to get this framed up for when I see my mom next month in October. So here is the frame that we went ahead with for that picture. Now, what is this? Why is this here? Let me get this out of the way. Uno momento. There we go. That's better. So I will be working on this probably over the weekend to get this framed up. So just to give you a little idea of what this will look like in the frame. It will be, there will be about an inch on the left and the right, and about an 1.75 inches on the top and the bottom. So this is an 11 by 14 inch frame, and so it won't be a perfect, same size the whole way around, but we both agreed that that would be perfectly fine for, an economical way of framing this piece. And we both really like the frame that we picked out. So there we go. So the frame is done. That way I can frame it myself. And we'll get that done and framed up and good to go. Next up, I worked on Le Jardin de Plaisir. Le Jardin de Plaisir. This is Long Dog Samplers. This is what I was working on over the weekend that I really wanted to get a good chunk knocked out, and that's why I didn't film on Sunday. So Le Jardin de Plaisir, I was working in this bottom corner here. And so I took it out of the frame, or I took it out of the Q-snap, and I actually ironed it up for you all. So here is where I am at. I really ironed it up for myself because the fabric was driving me nuts, but it's nice for you all to see it as well. So here is where we are. here's where we're at. Why is that? There we go. So that is 3/4 of the way done, plus minus the middle. So it's actually kind of, yeah, it's definitely blowing out. It's much more darker than what it's showing as far as the fabric. It's not showing as nice as what it is, or as it's showing more green than what the fabric actually is, but that is where I am so far. So the only thing left I have to do is this top quadrant and then the center motif of flowers. So there we go. Let's go ahead and get an up close view of what I stitched on this time. So here is where we are. There we go. So there is the quadrant. So I'm stitching this on a 36 count color and cotton in the color pewter. I'm using 1 strand of DMC over 2 strands of the fabric. So 1 strand DMC over 2. And I adjusted the colors of the DMC for the fabric choice. So the blah, 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 blah. The actual pattern calls for Gentle Arts in Raven, Banker's Gray, and Buckeye Scarlet, but it also has a DMC of 310, 414, and 304. However, because of the color choice of fabric that I chose, I am using $3,777 for my red, $38.57 for the brown, and $38.66 for the cream as I throw it. Now, so far I've used 2 skeins of the brown and the cream. I have not had to I've not used a second skein of the red yet. I've been making lots of runs to Joann's or Michael's for single skeins of floss. Speaking of, I went to Joann Fabrics for one. I had to get a skein of the 38.57, and I had a 50% off coupon for a full price item, and I paid 30 cents for a skein of floss, and that's all I bought. Then I went to Starbucks, and because I had a gift card for Starbucks, well, I had the gift card on my app, and I spent $6.50 on a cup of coffee. Explain the discrepancy there. Anyways, so here is Le Jardin de Plaisir again. So again, here is what I have left to stitch. So I just have this upper quadrant, and then I have this middle section here. So most likely what I'm going to do is finish the upper quadrant, and then I will finalize everything with this middle section last. But who knows what I'll do. I'm really hoping I can get this knocked out. Not hoping. I will finish this by the end of October. Because I really want to finish. I really want to have another large finish by the end of the year. So that is Le Jardin de Plaisir. Finally, the last piece I worked on this week was itchy nose. Renato Perelin La Foresta di Fons. So that's what it will look like when it's done, other than I have made major changes to the colors. La Foresta de Fons. So I moved it in the Q snap. I started in the center and I worked in the center here. So I moved it in the Q snap and I'm going to complete the entire left hand side now. So here is what I got completed. So I started this 2 days ago and I completed another tree, and I finished this late last night. So I completed this entire tree last night. I didn't stitch the entire tree last night, but I worked on this tree. I finished this tree last night, and then these 4 birds. So this is stitched on 56 count XJU Designs linen in mandarin. So it's a creamy orangey color. And I'm using DMC 938. Which is not going to register. So it's DMC 938, a nice rich brown color on the 56 count mandarin. So I'm stitching this 1/2 on the 56 count. So it gives it a nice plump full stitch. And yes, you can stitch DMC on 56 count. So, there we go. Renato Perlin, La Foresta de Fons. Fons. 56 count mandarin, and I'm going to finish the left hand side here. I'm going to be putting this away for now. I was really itching to start something new last night as I was working on this because I think I was just kind of losing interest in it. But I wanted to finish that entire tree. So the next thing I'm going to have to stitch is a even larger pine tree, and then a slightly smaller pine tree than the larger pine tree, but larger than this pine tree after that. So we're moving along. No hurry and rush on this tree or on this pattern, but I'm working towards I like working on it one tree at a time. It's a nice palette cleanser from all the other patterns that I have going on at the moment. So that is everything that I have worked on in the last week and a half. I have no plans as to what I'm going to be working on in the next few days. I do not know when I'm going to film again. I'm just going to continue working on what I work on and see where things take me. As I was actually pulling things out, figuring out what I was going to work on next, I realized I have a lot of projects to work on still. I also have a lot of things ready to go, waiting for me that I really want to work on. So I'm highly motivated to get some of these projects done so I can start prepping some new things. So we'll see what happens in the next few days, in the next few weeks, so I can get moving on some new stuff. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week and into the weekend, and enjoy whatever you're crafting on. I hope you are taking time for yourself and enjoying the process and the projects that you are, whatever it may be, gardening, cooking, crafting, watching TV. Until I see you again, as always, don't forget to always be creative.